Accountability. What is it? That was a bit of an aggressive H into this microphone here. But hi, I'm Nick Williams. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And, well, for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to ramble about accountability. You can feel free to decide you don't like it and not follow me, and just go to another corner of the internet. Open your cat videos. Watch those. Those are always fun. And never controversial. Maybe they should be. I don't know. Someone's going to have to come up with a hot take on a cat video. Oh, wow. There's a joke waiting to be made there about cat on a hot tin roof, though I don't know that Tennessee Williams would appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a theatrical joke. But anyways, accountability. It is interesting. It's an interesting concept right now. Why? Well, I'm going to tell you why. So accountability, I think, I could look up the dictionary definition, but roughly accountability is the ability to take account for your actions, to be held responsible, to be responsible, to know responsibility. But responsibility implies some form of understanding of what you need to be responsible for. The reason I bring this up today is because I saw a post on social media about this topic. The account was called Talkin' Tia. She made some good points. But she was talking about accountability for 8th graders. Now, these 8th graders in a St. Louis, Missouri school were banned from graduation, allegedly, according to at Talkin' Tia, because of bad grades, poor behavior in school. Generally speaking, they had not met the requirements for graduation, so they would not be allowed to go to their 8th grade graduation. Put another way, they were not graduating 8th grade. The kids were being held, what the school said is the kids are being held accountable for their actions. Now, she was making a broader point because I guess the parents of the kids got the kids dressed up like they were going to go to graduation, went down to the school, and when the kids weren't allowed to go in, they had the media, I guess, ready and waiting and talked about being appalled by the school's behavior. Now, okay. So we've got a couple layers of the idea of accountability here, because we've got the parents claiming to be holding the school accountable, right? The school, if they're holding the school accountable, the school needs to be held responsible for the actions of banning their children from the graduation. The school, in the reverse, believes it is holding the children responsible for not meeting the requirements to graduate. Okay. I'm trying to find a primary source for the story. I can't find anything because it's the internet and things appear magically. And St. Louis, Missouri is not my town. I'm from an undisclosed location, and I'm currently living in Los Angeles. So, St. Louis, it's not generally in my sphere. I can speak to the idea of accountability with children, which is sort of an interesting concept. When do we start holding kids accountable? I think it's a good question because children are going to grow into adults. But generally speaking, we try to hold kids to account for low-stakes things. Little Timmy, did you clean your room? You did not clean your room? Well, then there is a consequence for you not cleaning your room. Now, there is some parenting theories out there that says, well, the consequence for you not cleaning your room is you simply have to live in filth. Those theories I don't think take into account the fact that most young men I know can live in their own filth for a long, long period of time. Go to a boys' sports locker room sometime, and I'm not saying that because I currently go to them. I am saying that because I spent a great deal of my youth as a boy in locker rooms because despite several concussions, or rather maybe because of the concussions, I am not a smart man. And I continued to play rough and violent sports, the kinds of sports that require protective equipment, the kinds of sports in which you sweat in said protective equipment. The sweat does not, in fact, just disappear. While it does evaporate, it leaves behind what we shall call a rancid odor. Any football player, former football player, knows the smell I'm talking about. It's the kind of smell that you eventually get nose blind to, because your brain says, my God, we will not survive if we smell this every single day. Even the male brain shuts that out. Prevents you from smelling it. Because otherwise, even the immature male mind would lose itself. And so you learn to block the smell out. Fortunately, other people in your sphere do not block the smell out. And they let you know, my God, why do you bring this smell into my house? Those people would be your parents. So I make that point broadly just to say that it is difficult to teach children lessons of accountability in low-stakes matters, because for low-stakes things, they will very typically grow accustomed to them. And it's because they're kids, right? Largely speaking, under the age of 25, you are functionally a child. Today, we're talking about accountability and the issue of accountability in schools. And why it's such a big deal is because schools are institutions of education. They're supposed to be teaching children what exactly, I don't know. Some people say the theory of schools is we're teaching kids how to learn. Some people say the theory of schools is we're teaching kids useful life skills. I think largely speaking, they all miss the point. I think the life skills might be approaching it, but I don't think schools are set up that way. Because instead of learning, or instead of succeeding in the fact that you're making an effort, you're not getting there. I don't know anything about the school situation in St. Louis, but I do know back home, many kids don't make the cut. Too many kids don't make the cut because of issues that accountability will not help them with. Like, a lesson in accountability does not teach them anything. It just teaches them that they are, in fact, what they thought they were, which is dumb. Kids with undiagnosed dyslexia have a propensity towards anger, not because they're angry people, but because they are simply angry. They are angry that they cannot figure out this reading that seems to be quite easy for everybody else in the room. Or even if it's not easy for everybody else in the room, the teacher keeps insisting that they need to be able to figure this out. And if dyslexia is not caught early, you can't learn the compensating mechanisms that would allow you to successfully move through school, because so much of school is reliant on you actually being able to read. All the accountability in the world doesn't teach a kid to get over that. And at 14 years old, you're swimming with all sorts of hormones and different things that just rattle your brain already. And now dyslexia is just one example of an issue. Any number of issues can make a child difficult, can make a child seem unintelligent, can make a child seem angry, even make a child seem violent, right? Because oftentimes violence is a response to just not understanding things. It's just not understanding the world around you. Or violence is, violence is never condoned, but it's very rare that violence has, especially in children, has its root in the simple desire to cause violence. It is usually rooted in some kind of cry for help or some reaction to the fact that you cannot understand the world around you and nobody is helping you. The only response you get, the only time you get a response is when you act violent, or when you act dumb, or when you act silly, or when you do things, you do the wrong thing, because then at least people are paying attention and maybe somebody's gonna, help you figure something out. But sadly, that's not the case. And oftentimes, kids are allowed to move from grade to grade simply to get them out of the way. I don't know the situation with these 8th graders. Maybe they were just, maybe it's possible they were just punks. That's possible. Sadly, with the state of education in the United States, I think it more likely that the school was probably the ones who should have been held accountable. But we'll never solve that issue because everybody's trying to hold everybody else accountable without looking at themselves. That was a ramble. We wandered. We're at the 11-minute mark. I've hit my allotted time. We're actually over the 11-minute mark. We're almost at the 12-minute mark, but I'm over my allotted time regardless. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, follow, subscribe. If you didn't enjoy, well, then leave a comment. Tell me what I did wrong. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.